Hey everybody, this is Scary Spikes and welcome to another Star Citizen video. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at 5 things that you absolutely should do in Star Citizen as a new player. But of course, before that, we need to get through a few formalities. If you'd like to skip through all of this and just get to the video, there are timestamps in the description below, as well as in the seek bar, so feel free to jump to whatever part of the video suits your needs. Before we get started, a very quick and special shout out to Hindrosa. Although not a VIP Gold contributor per se, Hindrosa has contributed in other ways by being a great friend of the channel and the stream, of course also a good friend personally, and a mentor to help me improve the quality of my content here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Hindrosa is a fellow YouTuber and streamer, and I'm sure you would love his content. He's a great guy and awesome to hang out with, and very interactive with his Twitch chat as well. I'm going to go ahead and leave links down in the description below, so go check him out and show him some SSP gaming love. If you'd like to come and show us some love as well, of course, you can visit us on Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesdays and Fridays, in our amazing Discord community, the links for which will be found in the description below. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this video. Now, any new player is going to want to go ahead and jump into the game right away, and I don't blame you. Star Citizen is a big, beautiful, explorable universe, despite still being an alpha. But before you jump in, you want to check these settings because it's really going to impact your game and very likely your performance as well. As you know, we're going to go ahead and check out the options menu. Hit escape and go into the options button here, and you'll be greeted with this screen. Now, I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible for you, but to take your time and go through each of these tabs and take it one tab at a time and set the settings that are most appropriate for your tastes, your preferences, and your hardware. If you want to check out the performance guide, I do have that available for you. That's a video that I made before. I'm going to go ahead and link it up in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and it'll help you to get the most out of the game. Thankfully, nothing has really changed too much with respect to the performance aspect of the game, so a lot of those settings should still be able to help you out and work for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave those down below. Alright, so first and foremost is the game settings tab. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through this pretty slowly here so you can get an idea of what my settings are, and you can feel free to use the same ones. They are mostly default, and then you can of course tweak them to your liking, but just know that the majority of this is going to be your own preference and not necessarily always have an impact on any kind of performance. So go ahead and choose whatever settings are right for you, and then go ahead and move on to the graphics tab whenever you're ready. On the graphics tab, contrary to what we had in the game settings tab, this is going to be a lot of performance-based settings, and there are settings in here that will affect your performance a lot more than some of the others. Again, I'm not going to go through detail here because I've already done that in a previous video, which has been linked just about a minute ago there in the top right-hand corner of the screen. But what I will tell you before we navigate away from this is that there is a very, very tricky subject here that we need to cover, and that is the quality. Okay, so when you click on this, you're going to have low, medium, high, and very high quality, and this is not at all what it appears to be. Basically, this is the scale of where the priority is going to be shifted within your hardware to process everything that's happening in the game. Low and medium will shift priority to your CPU, and high and very high will shift priority to your GPU, otherwise known as your graphics card. So if you have a really good processor but not a great graphics card, you might want to choose low to medium to give the majority of the bulk of the work to the CPU or the processor, and so that you're not bottlenecked by your graphics card trying to do as much as it can, but basically being bottlenecked because it doesn't have enough power. And of course, the reverse is true if you have a better GPU or graphics card. You don't want the processor to be bottlenecking you, meaning slowing you down because it's being given a lot more work than it can handle, when your graphics card can handle it just fine. So go ahead and choose high or very high for this, and you should see some improvement in performance. Now, personally, I have an RTX 3080 with the 5900X. They're both pretty good, but I have it set to very high since I figured that my graphics card is probably a lot more capable with rendering and handling requests within the game on the back end than my processor is, and for me that's worked quite well, but you might need to experiment with this to see what works for you. Moving on to audio, again, this is very preferential. I have this set up for streaming, so I've got the music turned down all the way to the bottom and the rest of the volume turned up high, and then of course you can also choose a number of different settings here which will change the way the game sounds. This one's pretty easy, just go ahead and set it to whatever you like and go ahead and move on. Alright, next we have the controls tab, and just know that this is going to open up a lot for you if you have a HOTAS. HOTAS is a hands-on throttle and stick. It's usually a throttle and a stick that you use as peripherals to fly your spaceship or anything else in other video games that you might play that have flight in it. Of course, you can also use dual sticks and a number of different configurations, but this is where you configure a lot of that. Note that there is a button here on the bottom where you can switch between different devices. Now, my device has a rotary switch that switches between profiles, and that's why the game is recognizing so many devices, but you're probably only going to see 1 or 2, maybe 3, depending on how many peripherals you have plugged in. Go through this at your own time. Again, going through this one by one is going to be very, very time consuming, so go through this one by one. There are settings in here with regards to the directionality of certain axes and other settings that you can set to make your HOTAS or your flight stick and throttle perform better or perform the way that you want it to. So take your time and do keep in mind that you have to set it per device, as you can see on the bottom right hand corner here. Okay, nearly done. Moving on to keybinds. This one's going to be pretty straightforward, but it can be a little time consuming. If you're a brand new player, coming here to check out what the default keybinds are is a great idea. You can simply mouse over the keyboard here and it'll give you a sort of bigified view. That is a new word, by the way. And it'll show you what all the default keybinds are. If you're not happy with those, you can go ahead and change them by clicking on the customization button down here. And if you have a HOTAS in place or any other controller that you'd like to use for the game, you can adjust which one you're adjusting the controls for by simply clicking on the left and right arrows down on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen here. Note that if you are using a HOTAS, you do also have some default loadouts here for a number of different popular HOTAS systems. You can download these and import them online with a command line system. We're not going to go in with that detail here, but there's plenty of information online, and you can go ahead and download profiles that have been made for you. You can also make your own profiles and sort of map out your own keys on your HOTAS, and you can go ahead and save them using this system. And then, of course, you can also recall them back if and when there's a wipe that happens. And I do have to let you know that in between different patches of the game, it's been known that your user folder is reset, and that is where all of this stuff is being held. So you definitely want to make a backup of your user folder inside your Star Citizen folder and make sure that all of your custom keybinds for your HOTAS are saved so that you can go ahead and back them up and bring them back if a patch happens to wipe out your user folder and reset everything in there. Again, I'm not going to go over all of the details. There's quite a lot of different options here, but go one category at a time here and go ahead and set whatever keybinds you like for whatever different types of control you want to have within the game. Finally, if you want to set up head tracking or anything with regards to comms or external peripherals like the Tobii eye tracker, or even just eye tracking with a webcam, which I honestly would not recommend, but hey, you can definitely do that, and all of these options are going to be here. Now again, these are preferential options, and a lot of them are going to be miscellaneous options that you don't need, and many of them will not have really any significant impact on performance of the game. It's just going to change the way that you connect peripherals to the game, how they work, how they're recognized, and what they do. One of the things that I would recommend right away, though, is that you select mute microphone to yes. Because if you're talking with an open mic, you might be broadcasting to other people around the area, which could be quite annoying, but you might also just want to be saying something very sensitive to somebody in Discord, for example, and basically unknowingly also be broadcasting it within a vicinity to your character to other people who might really not know what's going on and hear things that you don't want them to hear. So if you don't want to use the in-game voice and you don't even want to have a chance of accidentally triggering it, just go ahead and mute your microphone here. And if you want to use the in-game voice, which honestly I wouldn't recommend, just use Discord or Mumble or anything else. I mean, even Ventrilo would work at this point. Then you can go ahead and unmute this and select your device up there. Okay, so moving on to step number 2 of what I would recommend for each new Star Citizen player to do. Before we get to that though, something that will benefit new players, so if you haven't already created your account, make sure to stay tuned. If you have though, feel free to skip the preamble here by clicking on the appropriate spot on the seek bar or using the timestamps in the description. So if you haven't created your account yet, I'd very much appreciate if you used my referral code. If you did, you can only do so while you're creating a new account. So if you've already created an account and you'd like to use my code in hindsight, I really appreciate it, but unfortunately you can't. It won't allow you to do that. So what that will do is it'll help me get one step closer to getting a Javelin, which is a really cool ship. but it'll also help you by giving you 5,000 extra UEC to start with at the beginning of the game, and that's on top of anything else that already comes with a game package that you may have purchased. So for example, if you buy one of the starter packages, you may see that you get 1,000 alpha UEC or 1,000 UEC for when the game launches with your package. So if you use the referral code, that'll give you an extra 5,000, which will be quite nice. It allows you to buy some necessary things at the beginning of the game and not to have to grind so much to get some money to get the rest of the things that you need. So if you haven't done so already, please use the code. It's flashing up on the screen now. And of course, there's a handy link in the description below for you to click if you've not created your account yet. I very much appreciate that, and it'll help you out in the early game as well. So my step 2 here for new players is going to be to get familiar with the contract system. Now, the reason why you want to get familiar with the contract system is because it's going to be your main bread and butter, especially in the early stages of the game, and then of course leading down through the middle and late game stages of the game as well once it matures a little bit more than where it's at the moment. In order to do that, you want to press F1 and get into your Moby Glass, and then down at the bottom of the screen here, you'll notice there's a number of icons. You want to click on this one, which is the Contract Manager. Now, I know this seems a little overwhelming, but stick with me here, okay? There's a few tabs up at the top. So we have your General tab, you have your Personal tab, your Accepted, your History, and your Beacons tab. For this video, we're not going to focus on the Beacons tab because it's not something that we need to worry about at the moment, but we will have a look through each of these tabs, so follow along, and if you have any questions, of course, please leave those in the comments below. So one thing that you need to understand here is the way that everything is laid out, and it can seem overwhelming at first, but you'll have your main tabs at the top that change the contents of what's displayed underneath and to the right. And then you also have your main categories over on the left-hand side, and then in each category you have a number of other items, which is reflected by the number to the right side of the actual name of the category here. So here we can see 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have the call to arms. Now, I know this is a bit weird. The call to arms doesn't count because it's a special mission that's always available to everyone. And if you are doing bounty hunting, I would recommend doing that. But for more information on bounty hunting, definitely check out my bounty hunting video up here. So the reason why I brought you here is because I want you to get familiar with all of these different missions. These are all different types of missions that you can do. For example, delivery, search, investigation, mercenary, and maintenance, as well as bounty hunting missions. And what's really cool about these is they offer a very different form of playstyle to people who prefer different playstyles, which is great. So you don't have just space combat. You can go ahead and go and explore. You can do FPS combat, which is what you'll find in the mercenary tab. And then you can also do ship-to-ship combat. And then there are also ECN alerts, which are distress calls that you can go out and help NPCs who are under distress and they're being attacked. You can help to protect them, and that will give a nice payout as well. So you can choose what you'd like to do, and you don't really need a very good ship to start out with. You can start with, for example, if you're going with the bounty hunting here, you can start with your certification missions, which I don't have them here because they're all done. But again, more details in the bounty hunting video. But once you do that, you'll be given access to progressively more difficult bounties as long as you continue to do well and you work up your reputation. Again, that's in another video. But basically, you want to get yourself used to going through this menu and seeing what missions are available, taking the missions that interest you, following their directions, and going and completing those missions. Not only is that going to give you useful money that you can use to buy supplies and armor, weapons, and other things, including even ships down the road, but it'll also give you experience in the game, and it'll teach you, sometimes through trial and error, how to do different things in the game. So what you can see here is we have a number of different missions that are available. This, for example, means very light risk target, and it'll tell you on the right-hand side, whenever you click on a particular mission, what the details of that mission are. So once you look on the right-hand side here, you can see that you have the number of UEC that you'll receive at the end of the mission and a few other details. Here's a few more details here about the mission, and if you're ready to accept it, you can simply go ahead and accept the mission. Once you've done so, you'll have the accepted tab open up automatically, and you'll have all of the missions that you've accepted, including their various categories here as well. And you can go through them and you can do a number of things. You can abandon them if you don't want to do them anymore. You can untrack them if you don't want to track them anymore. If you do that, you can easily just retrack them and they'll reappear on your map, as you can see with this little icon up here. And then, of course, you can also share them. So if you have friends that you're playing with, you can share your missions at least the majority of them, with your friends, and they can come and help you do the missions, and then you can basically split the money that you get for completing them. If you go to history, now you won't see anything here from me because in this session I haven't done any missions, but once you complete or fail missions, they'll all show up here and give you details about what happened. And then of course, like I said, the beacons tab, but we're not really going to deal with the beacons at the moment because it's not something that's really used in the game at the moment. So that is the contracts manager. I would very much recommend that you start doing a few missions. If you want something easygoing without too much intimidation and with a very low skill ceiling, I would very much recommend the delivery missions. This is basically like a space courier. So you can do this in the majority of ships. I would actually recommend between the two basic starter ships, between the Mustang and the Aurora, that you go with the Aurora, because at least there you have some interior in the ship that you can place boxes. And yes, you do need to place physical boxes inside of your ship and then deliver them from point A to point B. And this will give you a very handsome 8,000 UEC, and then you can continue to do a number of different missions there to earn some money. So once you have some money, we're going to move on to step number 3, or the third thing that I think everybody should do as a new player in Star Citizen, once they've done a few missions and gotten a little experience under their belt. Alright, so for tip number 3 here, we're hanging around just above beautiful Crusader here at Port Olisar, so that I can show you the next thing that you should do as a brand new player in Star Citizen. Now, just a very special warning before we get started. If you are watching this during 3.14.1, just keep in mind that the 3.15 patch is already in the hands of Evocati and is destined to drop probably around the end of October 2021. If you're wondering who the Evocati is, they're basically an elite group of testers handpicked by CIG because they're very, very active in the game to help them test things before they go out to the public and the rest of us. That being said, that is going to be coming with a wipe, which means that you're going to be losing all of your money in-game, as well as any ship components and ships that you've purchased in-game with UEC, alongside any weapons, armor, ammo, and anything else that you may have bought. So, if you're watching this before that happens, just be careful and be cognizant of the fact that there may be wipes in the future. It is an alpha after all. But I digress. Let's go ahead and continue here, and the next tip will be to go ahead and buy yourself some, well, supplies, to be honest. Now, as I said before, this is not really a survival game, and you're not going to need to stock up on a bunch of food and water just to be able to survive, but you will need some, and you'll need some other stuff as well. So we've picked Port Olisar because it's honestly a very, very convenient place, and you can get all of the things that I'm about to suggest in one place. If you haven't seen it already, I did make a video doing a tour around here, which will help you get around. Make sure to go check that out. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the gun shop. So let's go ahead and start there. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and check out all the other stuff. And as always, keep calm and carry one. Walking into the gun shop here, we can see that we have a bunch of really nice weapons available here on the wall. Very well lit for our perusal. And there's everything here for just about every taste. You have everything from handguns to rifles, SMGs, LMGs, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and all of the little doodads that go on top and into them. Now, of course, there's also a bunch of ammunition that you can buy here, which is great. And now this isn't the end-all be-all, but it is definitely one of the best gun shops in the verse, so I would definitely recommend coming here and checking it out. If what you see on the wall isn't what you want, you can also go over to one of these terminals, hold F and press the left mouse button to enter the terminal, and you can go ahead and browse at your leisure. Now, one of the first things that I'd recommend picking up here are definitely a few med pens. Just go ahead and click on one, and go ahead and click on buy. Select the amount that you want. 10 should be pretty good for now. And then go ahead and click on the confirm button. You should probably do the same with oxy pens, although that's not going to be as useful. But it's still nice to have. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up 10 here as well. Now, when you're ready to pick up some weapons, you can go ahead and go into the next area here, into the next tab. Then you've got your attachments, which are all of your different types of ammunition, as well as attachments like suppressors, flash hiders, scopes, and sights. And then, of course, you have your actual weapons down here. Once you've picked out something nice for yourself, let's go ahead and move on to get ourselves some armor. So this is the armor shop here on Port Olisar, and as you can see, there's a number of different models on display, ranging from utilitarian to light, medium, and heavy armors. Now again, this is not everything that the shop carries, but if there's something here that you like, you can walk up to it and hold F, and you can go ahead and try it on, which is really quite nice. It's a nice touch, and I appreciate that they've gone through that effort in an alpha so that you can be happy with what you purchase. Now, when you're first starting out, you have to be very careful about what you buy because obviously you don't have a lot of money, especially when you're going face first into a wipe into the upcoming patch, so definitely be careful here. But you want to pick something that works for you, and looks aren't everything. If you pick an armor that's super light, you might be very mobile, but you might not have very good resistances to different temperatures or conditions on planets, nor may you have the appropriate storage that you need in your personal inventory, which, by the way, you can get to by pressing I, and of course you can see how much storage you have in each of your suit pockets. But you can also ruin the experience for yourself by not having the right suit in general. So you want to pick something that works for you, that has the amount of storage that you're looking for, and that has the amount of protection from the things that you want to be protected from. For example, different conditions on a planet, explosions, bullets, and so on. One thing that I would recommend for every new player to pick up is this suit right here. It's a pretty light suit, so it's not going to offer a ton of protection, but it is going to give you tons of inventory space, and this is great, especially if you're a hand miner using the multi-tool with the mining attachment, which we might talk about in another video. But this is great because it gives you the option to hold on to a lot of stuff, and of course, that is great when you're a new player and you're just exploring. If you want to get some more suits, you can go ahead and head over to the panel here. Again, F and left mouse button, and as with most things in Star Citizen, you have to do them more than once for it to work, and then you can go ahead and peruse all the different types of suits that you have here. So you'll see that we have the undersuit. This is what's going to go under your main suit of armor, and of course you can wear just this, but it's not going to provide you with much protection, nor is it going to provide you with any kind of storage space, so you want to make sure that you have more than an undersuit. But then you've got your armor over here, and the armor is divided into a number of different categories. So you've got arms, your helmet, as well as your legs, and your torso. You can pick any number of different colors and styles and mix and match as you please, or you can simply go completely OCD like I do and make sure to buy everything from the same set so it looks, complete. That being said, there are two special types of armors that are not available here. There's the Pembroke armor, which is only available at Lorville, which is on Hurston, and there is also the Novikov armor, which is available at New Babbage, which is on Microtech. Those are heat and cold resistant armor specifically, so when you're out on very extreme planets with either very, very hot or very, very cold surfaces, they'll help to protect you against those, but you will need to go to their respective shops to buy them. Moving right along, if you have the money to spend and you want to upgrade your ship a little bit, you can head over to Dumper's Depot. We're not going to spend too much time in here because, again, I've done videos on this in the past, including my comprehensive beginner's guide, but you do want to go ahead and check this out anyway just to see what's available. Now, there are other shops available, for example, Center Mass, which focuses on weapons, and Omega Pro, which focuses on components, but these are all different things that you can buy for your spaceship. And there's a number of different tabs here available for different categories, including paints that you can buy for various spacecraft. So definitely keep an eye out on this, and if you want to upgrade your ships, you can also reference the Urkel.games links that I post in my ship reviews and ship guides, which will give you an idea of which components to buy. Finally, we're going to be checking out Kasaba. This is the main clothing store here on Port Olisar, and it's pretty much the same as all the other stores. There's a number of displayed items, and of course there's also a terminal which you can use to buy additional items. What's important to note here is that you should also pick up some food and drink, and funny enough, there's drink available here. You can simply hold F, and I'm not going to have this option because my suit doesn't have enough storage, but you should see a store option which will allow you to store this item in your personal inventory, which you can then see by pressing I. We're also going to go ahead and go back to the weapons shop because you're going to be able to pick up something to eat over there. Again, this is in my comprehensive beginner's guide, but we're just going to go over quickly and show this to you as part of tip number 3 here to make sure that you get all the supplies that you need. So in the weapons shop, you've got some food over here on the left-hand side. Again, hold F, click on Quick Buy, and then once you have it in your hand, you can hold F and look at it, and it will allow you to put that into your storage. So one of the things that you should definitely do as a new player, and this is not exactly in any specific order, but it's something that you would have used and you will continue to use in your entire Star Citizen career. It is central and absolutely pivotal to your experience, and getting to know it does take a little bit of time, but it will help you in the long run to have a more enjoyable experience overall. Of course, I'm talking about the Moby Glass. You can press F1 to bring this up, and it gives you a number of awesome different things that you can see about your character, your finances, your vitals, the atmosphere around you, your suit statistics, your tracked quests or missions, and also your vehicle status as well. There's a number of other things that this will display, and there's new features coming out for it in most quarterly patches, including the MoTrader app that was recently introduced that allows you to trade between some of your friends and offer them credits or merits as well. So really, really cool thing to get to know, but there are a number of tabs that you should definitely pay attention to. The first is the social tab, which is going to give you the channels that you're in, your friends list, including a really easy way to contact ATC to take off our land using this button here, which is really awesome. And then of course any of your pending requests, whether that's for a party invite or a new friend. You can of course also see the chat for the channel that you're in. We're currently in global, so this is going to be the server chat. And on the right hand side, you can see who's in the channel. In this case, it's everybody who's in the server. You have some server information up here, and then you can also manage the different channels in this tab by changing the colors as well as just removing them from your visor altogether. The second tab is one that you're going to use quite often. This is the Vehicle Loadout Manager, and it's one that you see me use in every single ship guide, tour, and upgrades video that I ever do on this channel. And it's because it is literally pivotal to being able to upgrade your ship and make it your own. You have a number of different categories up here that you can alter, including paint, the weapons, as well as all of your systems, your propulsion, and your missiles. And of course, you also have your ship selection here, and you can choose whatever it is that you'd like to modify. Note that the ones that are in red are either not available or they are not in the station where you're currently at. So you're going to have to make sure to claim them and make sure that they're in the same station as you so that you can alter them. Otherwise, you won't be able to do so. Moving on, the next most important one that you're going to be using is the Equipment Manager tab. Now, if you've just gone through step number 3 and you've gotten yourself all your fancy weapons, ammo, armor, and your med and oxy pens, you're going to be able to access all of them here. So you can go ahead and take your time, and anything that you want to equip, literally you just need to go ahead and click on it, and it's going to equip it. If you want to unequip something, just go ahead and click the big unequip button. Note that if you unequip something or make any changes from what it was before, you'll see that this triangle pops up, and this is true for any of the other categories that you are editing. If this is the case, if you just press F1 or leave the Moby Glass in any way without first pressing the big green button on the bottom right hand corner, you are not going to save that. So make sure that you click the big green button in order to save everything. But this is where you can go to change your clothing, your undersuit, your weapons, your armor, and any of your utility items, including your technology, which in this case, I just have one. The next one that I'm going to tell you about is one that you've already seen and used, and that's the Contracts Manager. For that reason, we're not going to spend any time on this additionally, but this is where all your contracts are and where all of your missions will be. And note that as you continue to gain reputation, which you can see at the end here, you're going to be offered better and more lucrative missions for which you'll be paid better as well. So that is definitely something to keep in mind when you're doing missions. And also have a look at the Delphi app here, which is going to show you all of the different reputations that you have between organizations and other people. Before I go into this next, fifth and final step that I think all new Star citizens should check out, I need to pose a question. What is the one thing that we all have in common? The one thing that gives us purpose, that drives us to do what we do, and that we all have in common in the verse. Ready? It's spaceships, of course. Spaceships are the thing that we all want, and not everybody's got a bunch of money to go out and splurge on a brand new Idris, for example, on the RSI website, so there are ships available in the game. Now, of course, be careful here because, as I said, the new 3.15 update is coming, and all of the ships that you buy in-game will be wiped, but this is definitely a great place for you to come. This is Astro Armada. It is one of the very few places that you can buy spaceships in Star Citizen, the other, of course, being the shipyard over at Lorville. Now, the reason why you want to come here is not because you're going to be buying a new ship after doing 3 very light-risk target bounty hunting missions, but because it gives you purpose, because it shows you what's possible, and Astro Armada is honestly the biggest and best spaceship store or dealership in the game at the moment. I'm sure that there will be more to come at some point in the future, but honestly, you can get just about everything here, and everything that you can't get here, you can get over at Lorville. This is an awesome place to come by and check out a bunch of different ships that you might be looking forward to. And the reason why it is one thing that brings all of us together is because no matter whether you like trading or combat or exploration or maybe just getting around from one place to another and trying to explore the universe on your own terms, there's something here for everybody. And there's a bunch of different price points as well, so you don't have to go ahead and splurge on an 890 jump, and not that you could buy one here anyway, you'd have to go to Lorville for that, but you can basically just plan ahead what it is that you're going to be working towards. And that could be your next fighter craft, it could be your next trading ship, and hopefully they fix trading very, very soon. Trust me, you're not the only one looking forward to that. But in any case, you can go ahead and head over to Astro Armada, or the New Deal, which is over at Lorville on Hurston, and simply walk up to any one of these trading terminals, hold F and press the left mouse button, and you'll be greeted with an assortment of different types of spaceships to pursue. Now again, these come in different shapes and sizes, and price tags, of course, some of them starting in the hundreds of thousands, going up to the tens of millions, depending on what it is that you're looking for. But that being said, this is primarily how I purchase ships to basically review and make guides for in the game, as well as to give you more information about. And what's interesting is the 890 jump is actually available here, which I didn't think it was. I thought that you could only purchase this at the New Deal. It is unfortunately 32.294 million, and we won't be making a purchase like this today. But that being said, this gives you some idea as to what you can expect, and even if you're using this as a tool to identify what ships you want to spend your real hard-earned money on before the beta comes out, which is of course going to be soon, TM, then this is a great place to come. And if anything, it just gives you something to look forward to and something to dream about, something to give you purpose to work towards, to know that you are this many missions away from being able to afford the ship that you really, really want. So that has been my video about the 5 things that every single new Star Citizen should do. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit more in-depth. Do check out the links to the videos in the cards posted on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Of course, you can also leave a like if you found this video helpful, subscribe if you're brand new, and ring the bell so that you don't miss my future weekly uploads, and of course, all the other content to come on the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. Feel free to come over and check us out on Twitch. We're live Wednesdays and Fridays, and sometimes Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. And of course, our amazing Discord community. Links for those can be found in the description. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, please make sure to leave those in the comments, and I will do my very best to read each and every single one and respond to as many as I can. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.